I am in the mood for a film.
All right, that'd be the best thing I think for everybody.
I'm more than happy to go in and analyze them. In fact, I'm looking forward to it.
It's my job.
If you are what I think you are, then you'll know when to listen, when to shut up, and when to pray.
Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the FilmBhais podcast. In this episode, we'll be concluding our analysis of S.S. Rajamouli's RRR. We have already done a part 1 of this analysis where we give our brief thoughts and a quick spoiler-free review. So if you haven't heard that already, I suggest you do that now, because this episode is full of spoilers.
FilmBhais is also available on YouTube for you to enjoy.
Indeed. And on that note, let's get into this episode. We've gone past the opening sequence. Have we got any other pointers to say? Like you've seen it a couple of times. Have you noticed something new in when you revisit the scenes?
I guess my thing is this is me nitpicking. Dude, you know when he's doing the scene and he's actually running away from the wolf and then the tiger comes into the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's just, make-believe acting, because let's say none of those creatures are there. I just focused on, when he jumps and does the spin, the bit where he stretches his entire body, and even I don't know why, bro, but my eye just fixated on that. When you're stretching so much that even your feet stretch.
Wait, are you talking about when he's bringing the trap in?
No. When the tiger first enters.
Oh, right, when he's jumping through the tiger and the wolf.
Yeah, and then the bit where I'm just like, just the fact that I say, even though you're acting with nothing there with their CGI creatures and all that stuff, just the amount of tension that he puts and the effort he puts into his motions.
Yeah.
To me, that was like, hats off to you, because I've seen so many movies where when you see the behind the scenes, and you're like, you're not putting that much emphasis into your
that's true, yeah.
movement. I'm like, just for that little scene where, let's face it, it was a quick scene where no one really can see it, but I'm just like, dude, I don't know why my mind just went there. I'm like, he stretched his body that much just for a scene.
Yeah.
Would rewatch that scene and again, and I'm like, people are thinking this guy's a weirdo or just respecting that. But watch it again and let me know what you love doing, because, dude, the amount of conviction and the amount of emphasis he put into just portraying how hard it is just to, because remember he's trying to save his life, even though they're CG characters. He has to clear both of them.
Yeah.
So you need to strip that body and make sure your whole body's flat just to do that. And then the finishing resistance with this was, you expect when they do this is a movie, and he's the main lead. No. He doesn't land on his feet, which, typical movies.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do some weird thing where he, lands on his back and then jumps back up, Yeah. Now, none of that stylish is crap. He actually falls and rolls and falls down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So weird as an actor to act in front of nothing, but you have to imagine all of it. And that's where the director comes in. The director must have given him such a visual direction. He would have been like, this is what's going to happen. We're going to do this and this. And the words that a director uses to express what's going to be on film later on, when you're acting with nothing, just pure air, you can really separate the grades. Everything in this shot has a consequence. Like if he doesn't flatten his body and stretch it out of the way in just the right way, he's going to get killed. And that's the motivation of the actor, and he's going to do it in the right way. Yeah. It's true. It's true. I think it goes back to what you were saying before about the Hindi film industry and how the actor is the king. I think in the South, they really trust the director's vision, and they're willing to give up their stardom to what the director's vision is. And that's what sets them apart. That's what makes them from good to great. That's the whole thing. But yeah, love it, man. Love it. I mean, do you have a favorite one? Do you like fire more than water, or the other way around? I don't really have a favorite, to be honest.
Nah. See, don't get me wrong. When I was watching my first viewing, I hated Ramachandran's character. I hated him. I wanted to beat the crap out of him. I don't care what your convictions was. I want to beat the crap out of you.
Even after he saves the kid. Okay, let's move on to the next scene now. We're done with the entry scenes. So after that, it's that's the gist of it. And then he goes, do you want him dead or alive? Okay. Right after that scene, it cuts to him out of his uniform into a lovable young man. Even then, you hated him. You
Yeah.
see what? But why? You kind of see him as a regular dude now.
No. See this. I think this is where it comes down to people's perception and I guess almost your sensibilities as a
Mm.
person. I saw him as the devil in disguise.
Did you honestly think Ram Charan was going to play a bad guy? At no point did I think he was a bad guy. I assume we don't know something about the character, so I was just
No,
waiting.
I get. I know because come on, it's Ram Charan, bro.
Exactly.
There's no way he was gonna do that. Although I would have, if he was gonna go full blown bad guy in this movie, I would have accepted. But at the same time, it would have ruined it because I was like, you're doing a movie about the Indian versus the British, and then the Indian guy's the bad guy.
That was never going to happen.
Yeah, but it's just I was just thinking from his conviction. I'm like, yes, there's gonna be a backstory, but I just thought just from what I've seen, I was like, this guy's a devil in disguise. Until I find out what his reason is, and even then I might not like it.
Yeah,
I don't like the guy. I already made up his mind. Like, I was convinced this guy's a bad guy. He's playing a bad guy, and here is his ulterior motive. I guess the best way to say it is people always have ulterior motives, and just because someone does a good deed, I would question it. Are you doing that good deed from a goodness of your heart, like from a good place, or are you doing that good deed from a bad place with an agenda?
Yeah.
Because you can always look at it, bro. It's like some people might say, this person is a savior. Is that person really a savior?
Yeah.
That's my only opinion. So I was looking at it from that point. I'm like, I didn't like him. But obviously, as I more and more watch a movie, I'm like, I like them both.
Exactly. I mean, again, I can't even imagine what it was like as a director to work with two of the biggest stars and give them the same amount of screen time and make it so balanced that you can leave that movie literally having the argument who you liked more, and the answer isn't obvious. Like, you can make a case for both of their characters being the better actor, the better character, they had the better action sequence. You can make the argument from both of them. So the way he balanced both of their portrayal in the film was masterful.
Yeah, basically, character development, both had a development. So I guess this is where we go off the review side of it, and it's more of a checklist. Character development, both check.
Yeah.
Storytelling, both check. Scenes, time, on screen scene, on screen time, check. Yeah. So everything is checked. Like most movies, people would argue, I didn't get enough time, or you didn't develop my character. We have those, squabbling comments from most actors. After the movie comes out of that, I didn't get enough time. I didn't get whatever. Yeah. Look, I don't care how good of an actor you are. You're serving the purpose of a story.
Absolutely. Like 100 years from now, no one's going to remember your brand. They will remember the movie. I'm glad Rajamouli plays with a different rule books. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so going back to that scene again. So we have that cool. Have you ever seen a movie called The Great Escape? The Steve McQueen World War II thing.
I've heard about it. I never watched it.
Okay, so there is a scene where a bunch of people are trying to escape. So, sorry, there's going to be a spoiler for A Great Escape. People who haven't seen it, it's not really a big spoiler. But anyway, a bunch of people are trying to escape, and they're pretending to be German. So, they're split out in different ways, and they get to a German checkpoint. And there is a German soldier who kind of suspects that these guys might not be German, they might be English or American. So in the checkpoint, they take the passport, check it, and after they hand it over, he says, not in German, but in English, he says, good luck. And the guy, just out of habit, oh, thank you. And then obviously gives himself away to be an Englishman. And I love that.
I know where you're going on.
Yeah. And I love how they did that thing with the checkpoint. So again, this is definitely inspired by the Great Escape thing. So such good storytelling. It's not over the top. It's beautifully done. He basically salutes that dude, and that gives away. And Ram Charan's face just drops. I'm like, you stupid son of a. And then that chase sequence happens.
But at the same time, you can see the attention to detail because you're like, that would happen. And not only that, if you're being ruled under the British at that time, they expect you as slaves, as
Mm-hmm.
people who are beneath them,
Mm-hmm.
to salute them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Officers,
even though
especially.
he's Indian,
Yeah.
he's higher ranking. He's above
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You must salute him.
Yeah. Beautifully done. Such beautifully
Yeah.
done. And okay, this is where I go really into my weird film analysis thing, right?
Mhm.
So up until now, we are very much in Ram Charan's world. Okay, so we see Ram Charan in his home. He's making a plan how to infiltrate the freedom fighter group. Anyway, we have that little boring, it's this all boring lighting, uh, very low saturation. Everywhere's wearing brown and khaki and all that stuff.
Mm.
And then when the guy goes to chase him, this is very subtle, dude. But just before they go out into the open world where the festival thing is happening, Ramcharan pushes aside three pieces of sari, and they are the Indian flag colors. It's so subtle, dude. I noticed
Mhm.
it in my third viewing. Almost as a visual cue to say, Ramcharan was in his own little army military world, and as soon as he goes through that alley and enters that festival, he's now in his basically his perspective opens up. He sees what possibilities are out there, and
Yeah, he
everyone
sees the
over
color.
there, yeah, the color and all the different cultures meeting, all the different, festival happening. They don't give a shit about what's happening down that alley, but this is what true India is like. So it's almost like how can I put this? It's almost like someone opening a door to this is India. But Ramcharan was so into his mission, he never got to appreciate that side of the world. But now he's introduced to it. So now
Yeah.
let's talk about this freaking bridge scene.
Well, I just from when I was at first, I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? Where are we
Yeah,
going?
yeah. Because
Then
you hate Ramcharan at this point, right? So the fact that
yes,
he's trying to save the kid, how did you feel about that? That's what I want to know.
I'm just like, so there might be some saving grace to this guy.
Exactly. I mean, this was basically Rajamouli talking to people like you in the audience, who was like, "I hate Ram Charan. He's beating up Indians. He's working for the British." And then Rajamouli goes, "Hey, but look,
Yeah,
he's about to save
and it
this
was
kid.
his
How
idea.
about that?"
It was his idea. So you're like, yeah, you have to take it. But the
Yeah.
thing I liked about it was this scene was done purely with non-communication.
Mm-hmm.
It was visual communication, no verbal, no speaking. Just sit back and enjoy the visuals and just see people do it in action. And again, I guess this is where it takes back in the same thing. Is people do a lot of talking, like I've done this, I've done this. Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
These people are not talking, not saying nothing.
Yeah.
They're just taking action.
Yeah, and they show that as well, where Bhim is down by the banks. He's trying
Mhm.
to get people to help him, but the people are just kind of walking away. They're like, "No, no, 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 I don't want to help you. This is
Yeah.
someone else's problem right now." But the fact that it wasn't clear in the movie, and I saw a lot of reviews not really getting this,
Mm.
but they said that how did he know that he was talking to him? I think Ramcharan from the bridge saw that there was this one dude who wants to help because he's closer to the banks, and he's trying to get people to help him help this kid, but everyone else is moving away. When Ramcharan notices that, he says, "Oh, maybe this guy can help me because he
Yeah, but
wants to
then
help."
they started waving at each other.
Exactly. And that's where the, no communication part that you mentioned comes in. Because in
Yeah.
their own individual entry sequences, we saw there was no dialogue, right? They didn't
Yeah.
need to speak. They were men of action. And finally, they meet their own equal, like power recognizes power kind of thing. They kind of saw each other and was like, okay, this guy can help me. They didn't need any
Yeah.
communication. That
But
stupid
here's
hand
the
waving communication was very confusing. I got to be honest. If Ramcharan said that to me, I would be like, are we playing charade? Sounds like a movie.
yeah.
Agnipath, you say? No?
Yeah. No, but
I literally had no idea.
you know, I guess this comes back to even in this day and age where look to do something, to make a difference, to even just do whatever you need to do in life.
Yeah, action, man.
Don't really need to do too much talking, just action. And you can go around asking, but just look at the room, just analyze the room, turn around, look at your family members, and you will lock eyes onto a person that you know can help you. Because everyone else is busy doing other stuff, right? You can just tell without speaking to anyone. If
Yeah.
there's a, let's just say, like, right now, I'm having a difficulty. I look around the room.
Hmm.
People in that room can understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you
And you just need
see,
that one person. Just one.
that
You don't
one
need an.
person that exactly. You don't need to ask who's going to help me. You can just see
Mm-hmm.
who's there ready.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. And that's it. And I'm like, even that would now people can do that. It's like the people around who will stand up and help or just join.
Yeah.
I guess the same thing you could say if you go into a room of people, man, and like no one wants to talk, even introverts, no one wants to talk, no one wants to talk. But once you find something to talk about, you'll find the right person who will just automatically starts talking.
Yeah. It's a non-verbal communication again. Like you said, you need
Yeah,
to be, oh, let's find out more about each other. It's a connection that you can feel without the need
exactly.
to talk about it. But the crowd that didn't want to help, I think in our modern world, that would be the same type of people who would be videoing this, streaming this on Instagram as opposed to doing anything about it. And
Yeah.
then you see the Ram character and the Bheem character. They don't. They're just their first knee-jerk reaction is, "Oh my God, we should help." But everyone else is like, "Oh my God, look at that terrible thing happening! Isn't that terrible?" And then just
Yeah.
standing there, just not really doing anything about it. That's moaning about it. Yeah, that's terrible. You know, the infrastructure of these trains, they're so bad. The government is not doing anything. The trains are shoddily built, and that's why the accidents happen. It's terrible. We should do a petition about it. And Beam is like, yeah, let's just save the kid's life, and then we can talk about that later, shall we? And yeah,
Yeah.
and all that happens. Okay.
Exactly. It was,
Um,
but even
And
then, the scene, bro.
yeah, the scene, dude. Okay, I was confused by the flag thing. I thought the flag was some nationalistic bullshit that was happening, especially with Vande Mataram written on it. And I was like, okay, why is he taking the flag? What's he going to do with the flag? Is he going to swing with the flag? And then he dips the flag into water. I'm still confused. Like, what's the point of this? I mean, I get it. It's a beautiful shot. And then when Bhim wraps themselves around in it,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, I was like, of course. Because back in the day, those kind of flags were made out of jute, like khadi. And
Mm-hmm.
khadi can actually be fire repellent because they're quite thick. They're not easy to burn through. And the fact that he uses a flag to do it, I was like, well done. Well done. It's his country that protects him. You know what I mean? It's beautiful.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The symbolism again. Rajamouli comes back with the symbolism,
I
but at the
know.
same time, is functional symbolism.
Yes. Yes. And the short ends, dude. I know we all know about what's happening in India. I don't want to get political about this, but there are
Yeah.
lots of anti-Muslim stuff that's
Mm-hmm.
happening in India right now. But he ends the shot with two people holding hands, one of them saying a Muslim name, and one of them saying a Hindu name, and they're grasping hands with holding the Indian flag together. I
Yeah.
know this movie is not subtle, but
Not
that
even
is,
that, bro. Did you see how they held hands?
I know. Yeah. It's,
They
it's, it's
grab him by the wrist, bro.
yeah,
It's like pure support.
complete.
I'm not just
It's not a
holding your
weak hand.
hand.
It's not a
Yeah,
weak hand.
it's not like shake hands. No, no, no.
No,
It's
no. I
solidarity,
got
bro.
you. I got
Yeah,
you in the shape of a handshake. Like that could be
exactly.
the sentence. I got you, bro. I got you. It's beautiful. And I love that Beam's first reaction isn't to be like, yay, hi, my name is Akhtar. His first reaction is, oh my God, I can't believe we did this. Ah, ah. And then
Yeah,
that's exactly how you would react if you have done something as ridiculous as that. And then, the toasty thing happens, dude. Oh my God. This is
yeah.
this is so freaking cheesy. This is like Ye Dosti song in Sholay, but because it's shot so well, I was so into the song. I was like, yes, friendship
Yeah.
montage, hell yes, best bromance. I think this is where lots of American people got a bit confused because they weren't sure if this is a romantic scene happening. But I think Indians and Asians in general kind of have these kind of friendships, so we are okay with it. Like we have
Yeah.
blood brothers, we have friends that we would die for because we grew up on those kind of movies. Like
Yeah.
our friendships are platonic in a very, very close way that doesn't exist in the Western world. Like we hold hands in India for God's sakes. Like that's not something I've done because that wasn't a thing
Take
growing
me
up.
Bangladesh, bro. I don't get that.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
yeah, the
why? And
holding
then
hand thing. Yeah, it's a bit weird. But again, okay, how about this? Holding hand might be weird, but I have definitely leaned on my friend. Like when we're sitting, I would lean on my friend. Like it could be seen
yeah, I've
as like
done
a
that.
romantic thing. Exactly. But it's just a closeness. We just like a little touch. It goes a
Yeah.
long way to show closeness
Okay,
between someone.
you're talking about the hand. I guess we can going off on this. What was the pinky thing, man? I don't do that, bro.
Yeah, maybe it's like, look, India's a big place, right? Like different cultures have different things. So in some places, they just want to feel a connection and then they hold pinky. I've seen pictures of it. I've never seen it in my real life. Like,
Yeah, no.
but yeah, it's whatever makes them feel close, man. Who am I to judge? But the best thing about that those two thing was when you read the subtitles, the
Mm.
the song is beautiful, but when you translate that subtitle into English, it sounds ridiculous and on the nose. Like the volcano meeting a storm, uh, whatever other juxtaposition of different two opposing forces meeting together, and then fate plays a big part. I mean, the whole fate thing is all over the movie, but they basically tell you everything that's happening emotionally in that song. And it gets the audience to a place like, oh, these guys became really good friends after this. Such a quick way to get that across, but also gives you a bit of a break because you've seen so many action sequences already. As an audience, you're kind of overwhelmed with the all the information, all the visual spectacles you've been seeing, and this is kind
Mhm.
of a nice way to relax for you as an audience before you go
Yeah,
to
you
the
need to
next
come
part.
back to the human side.
Exactly, it's emotionally beautifully done. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it? Those
Oh,
themes.
bro, I just it captures how two people should react. Again, it comes back to the way they made the movie. I mean, these two understood the characters,
Hmm.
and I guess it not only that it shows their professionalism and their skills and their talent, but I guess the fact that from what you were saying earlier on, is that they three met up at
Hmm.
his house and they obviously spent time talking about the movie. It shows that the chemistry is there
Yeah,
and they know how to act off one another. It wasn't none of that awkward thing. They weren't forcing it. It was just
yeah,
felt very natural.
yeah.
And I
I
guess
think
that's
those
where it
guys
comes back
are
to
friends in
South
real life.
Indian movies, bro. Sorry?
Yeah, I think those two guys are actually friends, like close friends in real life. They go to each other's birthday parties. I think Ramcharan was telling, oh no, NTR was telling a story that Ramcharan's birthday falls close to his wife's birthday, and they
Yeah.
always celebrate the entire
Yeah, well,
birthday.
they're all close knit family, man. It's like
Yeah.
what's that called? This is going off topic, but even what's his name? Alu Arjun, which is Ramcharan's cousin. He was saying how he was offered one of the movies and he just saw he wasn't the right fit, and then
Mm,
he commended NTR for it.
beautiful. Love it.
Yeah.
There is no
So
ego.
it's like, no, that's the thing. This is I don't want to go into the whole topic of them versus Bollywood. Bollywood is nothing but ego. Yeah, it's like these lot don't. They're like, no, it's not for me. This person's great for it. Go to him.
Dude, South Indians are nicer people, man. I lived for 2 years in Madras. South India is just, beautiful, nice, warm climate. Food is awesome. They're just nice to each other. There's no need for competition in that state. It's not about I need to be higher than you. We can all rise together. There is no competition here. Like
Mm.
if you do good, I do good. There's no competition. So I think their work ethic, their approach to life, their approach to their work is a bit different, and that kind of shows in their work as well. So yeah, that's nothing to be nothing to be
Before we go
questioned
off,
about.
bro, I guess the other thing that we need to talk about is when they're doing this rescuing scene,
Go on.
the combination of fire and water, bro.
Oh yeah. I mean, if we're talking about that, that's everywhere, man. So I love that Rajamouli basically said, okay, we have fire, we have water. They can never meet. How can we make them meet? I get it, oil, and then make the oil train explode, and we can have freaking fire underwater. I mean, that whole scene was just. Why were they running underwater, coming towards each other, and shaking hand, dude?
Yeah.
Why? It makes no sense. Where did Ram get the horse? Was there just a horse standing there? Like, if we talk about the logic of this movie, it just doesn't make sense. Nothing at all. And whose bike was it? Was it Bheem's bike? Because he's a mechanic. Did he just
Mm,
destroy his own bike just to do
mm.
that? It's completely over the top, ridiculous. But yeah, visually beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely love it. Nothing against that scene whatsoever. And then obviously, 40 minutes into the film, we get RRR, and that's where the movie begins. The
Yeah, that's the thing,
audacity
though.
to do that.
This is a director, and I guess this is where I sort of remember Christopher Nolan and when the Dark Knight Rises. Sorry, the Dark Knight came out, and
Mm-hmm.
the long extension scene of just focusing on introducing
Joker.
Heath Ledger's character, yeah,
Yeah.
and then and everyone was like, "Hoo ha! Why are you wasting so much time?" Did the movie? Come on, man. And then here he's like, "Look, forget usual convention. of how a film is supposed to be structured.
Yeah.
Focus on your story, and when you think it needs to begin, if you want to do the intro before the movie starts, do the intro before the movie starts. That way
Yeah.
you're building up and you're building the foundation before it starts. No
Yeah.
problem. I'll go with it. You're the storyteller. I'll follow you,
Absolutely.
because the thing is, storytelling can be done in different forms.
Of course.
I guess this is where we come back to Quentin Tarantino. Most of his movie, and one of what I like about it, he doesn't always do linear storytelling. He doesn't always start
Mhm.
from the beginning.
Yeah. I
Sometimes
think
he
Quentin
just
Tarantino
jumps in the
said that
middle.
he was inspired from novels, like so novels don't always
Mm.
tell linear storytelling. They always jump between timeline, different perspectives, etc., etc. So he said, why can't we do that in film? Similarly, Rajamouli took uh, inspiration from how music is sometimes done. So in music, you sometimes have a prelude before the actual story begins, and same thing in novel as well. You have a prologue. A prologue kind
Mhm.
of sets up what the universe of the story is all about, and then you get into the crux of the story.
Yeah.
Here, it was quite important for us to understand these two characters, get our head around them, because at this stage you still hate Ram Charan, right? And
Mhm.
Rajamouli knew that was going to happen, so he needed to show that scene where we see a different side to him to kind of hope that there might be a redemption arc for him in the future. We already like Bheem. We already know Bheem is a badass and he's so lovable and sweet and all that stuff. So we don't need to spend any more time with him, but just to make sure that maybe Ram Charan has something about him as well. And later on, as the movie goes on, we see more little hints that Ram Charan might have more nice things about him as the story goes on towards the end. Anyway, so we have the Dosti montage, and then I think we might have missed something that happens during the intro. That's where the Jenny character gets introduced, and we see the only nice English person in the whole of India in that scene.
Yeah.
We need to balance it out a little bit. And I think I saw a lot of reviews that thought that this was a romantic interest for Bheem. I never saw her as romantic interest. What do you think about that? I kind of saw that he knew that the only way for him to get inside that house was to become friends with someone who might be invested or might have, some kind of empathy
I
or
can see
sympathy
why
towards
people say that, because on the following scenes,
them. Hmm.
he did talk about how she was a nice person and all that, and then obviously Ramcharan doing the stuff he did with the
Yeah,
tactics.
that's Ramcharan doing it though. I think Bhim himself, every time he has an interaction with uh,
Yeah,
Jenny,
he just
he's
saw her as
always
a
trying to
nice
get
person
inside the
because
house.
he was. I guess one of the things was, when you come across someone that you've never met, or a person that you thought was one way. It's almost
Mm.
like saying, he's grown up with these ruthless dictators
Mm-hmm.
that looked beneath and they didn't like him. He's kind of people and all that stuff. And then he always saw them as, oh God, they're dangerous, they're violent, they hate us. And then he meets a nice person.
Yeah, but I don't think he
So
falls in love with her though. I
no,
don't think
no,
the
no.
movie wants it.
He
Yeah,
just saw a nice person and he's overwhelmed with. She's really nice. He couldn't get over the fact that she was a nice person.
but if you look at every single conversation that Bhim has with Jenny, every
Hmm.
single word that he says to Jenny is essentially, "Oh, you have a big house, right? I like your house. It's
Yeah.
so big. Um, can we go? Can I go to your house?" And all of those conversations essentially to try to get inside the house. At no point does Bhim want to get with Jenny, but Jenny does not know that. Ramcharan does not know that. So Ramcharan thinks, "Oh, you're enamored by this woman. I'm going to try and help you, score, dude. Like I'm going to be a wingman
Yeah.
for you." So I don't think there was any kind of romantic feelings
No,
from Bhim. But
honestly, love, because
yeah,
there was nothing there to show that. Even these conversations,
yeah,
the way he told it was never describing feelings.
no, exactly, never. So I think that was a bit of a kind of
Yeah, but I
a
want he even said it to the other people that she might be able to help.
yeah, exactly. So I think the movie made it very clear. But I think from the Western perspective, when they saw this,
No,
when
I
they see
don't think it's the
a
bottom
man,
line is that everyone's just used to it. Like there has to be a love interest.
exactly, I don't think there was any kind of love interest whatsoever. And then the movie ends from Dosti onto a very weird scene where I don't know how I feel about this scene about puncturing the tires crap. Um, Bit of a douchey move, he just
Hmm.
punctured 4 tires just so Bhim can get a chance to speak to Jenny. But whatever. Maybe they used to roll that way back in the 1920s. whatever. I'll forget that. And then we see that Bheem is jewelry maker, a goddamn artist. I didn't even know a bangle could be made that quickly. And then, so this wasn't very clear in the movie, but I'm guessing that the bangle design is something that they used to make in Mali's and Bheem's village. So that's why Mali recognized it?
Yeah, I'm thinking that. No, he didn't make it. I
Bheem made it.
guess, but he got it from the other store. He went and got
he
it.
said, can I make it? No. He goes into a store and there's a bangle maker sitting there, and he goes into the store and starts doing something. And then he literally makes a bangle based on the material that's there. Yeah, he made it. Not only that, I think he must have made it into a design that is familiar to Mali.
Yeah, because that's why she was so happy and she hugged her, didn't she? Because she recognized it.
Yeah. So that wasn't very clear in the movie because there was no close up of the bangle and there was no connection, blah, blah, blah. But I think the movie had explained well enough for that to happen. So now let's get to the main scene, dude. The scene that everybody's going crazy over. There are so many scenes like that, but there's someone in particular, so many reaction videos being made for this on freaking YouTube. Every time I search for RRR, a reaction video for this comes up, which is the Natu Natu song.
Do you know Desi Nach?
What's Desi Nach?
बेल जैसे धूल उड़ा के सींग उठा के तुम भी नाचो बाज जम के ताल ढोल बेटा राजू उड़ के नाचो
हीरो से भी तेज कोई कर सके जो बेद नाचो
अस्तबल में घोड़े जैसे भाग डोर छोड़ नाचो मिट्टी जो रोट मोटा मिर्चा खा के ऐसे नाचो हाँ जा छोरे
हाँ जा गोरे
हाँ जा छोरे नाचो 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 वीर नाचो.
What do you think about this scene?
Okay. This is where it was cringe fest. Okay.
You weren't a fan? No,
I was a fan of the dance sequence because, like I said, I'm a big fan of Junior and Tia, and I know he can dance his ass off, mate. But it was just before that part. The cringe fest was the British. You know, it's like, shut up, man. Compared to you and what Asian dances. Asian dance, man.
No, but it was quite interesting, dude. Okay, tell you what, this is where, again, Rajamouli's storytelling comes in. So you see the party scene, everybody's doing a waltz. So that's a very English ballroom dance. And then when the guy says, I am one of the best dancers out there, all the dancers that he gives an example of, flamenco, salsa, whatever he does, they're not English dancers, right? So what they're showing is that he's being proud of his dancing skills, but he's taken from other cultures. And he himself has nothing to be proud of. There's nothing to show off about. Does that make sense? That was Rajamouli saying this has no substance. So that's why when in the end, when he ends up joining Raju and Bheem into doing the Natu, just to show that, oh, you think you're better than me? I can do this as well. But then he fails because Natu isn't a real dance. You know what I mean? So a lesser filmmaker would have made them do Kathakali, or something very Bharatanatyam or something very Indian, but they didn't make him do any kind of traditional dance. They just made up a dance. You know what I mean? Both of them, they were like, we're just going to make up a dance that I know you guys won't be able to do because you just don't have the stamina to do it. So they were like, oh, do you know Natu? Because Natu means dance, dude. Or I think the Hindi version says, do you know how to do Desi Nach? So again, the guy has no idea what the hell that is. It's like, what the hell is a Desi Nach? So they have carte blanche to make up whatever dance that they want, knowing that he won't be able to keep up. Because what the English guy was saying, that you are uncultured because you have no experience in the things that I have experience in. So there was a famous Einstein quote that says, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by his ability to climb a tree, you will forever think that he's an idiot. So he's basically making it impossible for the Indian people to be cultured because he's saying, oh, what I know is considered culture. What you know is nothing because I don't consider it culture. So when Ramcharan character comes in and Raju goes, what do you know our culture? And then he just kind of makes something up. That was Rajamouli saying that, oh, we can do that as well. Bet you don't know this. And then they do that. I thought it was beautifully done, man. I liked it.
Oh, no, that was, don't know. I like the whole scene set up and the way they see it. I just thought it was a cringe when I was watching the guy.
Being a dick. But the best thing is, the guy wasn't a racist, though. You know what I mean? The guy was just a dick. He's just an asshole. I don't even think he was that racist because the rest of the characters are way more racist. But he's just an asshole. Like, you recognize that dude. Like, oh,
he's a pompous prick. And that's just in every culture, man. Rich snobs. It's the way it goes.
The best part for me in the Natu thing was the suspender thing. That blew my mind when I first saw it. I was like, I never thought suspenders could be cool. Dude, after I saw that movie, I looked for my suspenders and I wore them to work at least 2 days because suspenders are cool again. Like, yeah, I completely forgot suspenders is freaking cool. That's how much of an influence this movie had in me. I was like, yeah, screw it. I'm going to start wearing suspenders now. Badass. Loved it. Everything great. And of course, this is another place where you get to see that Raju might have some redeeming factor in the future, is that he chooses to lose that fight, the dance off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again. So what do you feel about that? Because at this point, you still think Raju is a dick. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
saw him do something nice.
Now on that one, I was very amused, and I was like, nice. You're doing some stuff which is good.
Yeah. You see,
'Cause,
he's like got a nice heart.
Yeah, it's like you got redeeming qualities. And now let's just see more of your story. Now you're more intrigued on it. Like, let's start finding out more about your background.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what do you remember after this? After the Natu Natu song?
What do you mean? Didn't they just move on to really talking about what the plan was going to be? Where he went to search for the other guy, wasn't he?
Yes. So rest of it is just kind of basic storytelling. I remember Jenny takes him to her house. He confirms that Mali is inside the house. What I really liked is when Mali wants to go away with Bheem, Bheem sings her a lullaby, but the words are different, but the tune is the same as the one that Mali uses.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what this means, but maybe in that tribe they all have the same. They are very familiar with that tune. That's the tune that they grew up with. They just changed the word because that's the same tune that they use in Kumaram Bheem song. Do you know what I mean? Just has the same cadence to it. So I like that. The music stays the same, but the meaning of the words would change. That was quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, he's playing. The thing is, again, this comes back to narrative and storytelling, where you want people to be able to connect the dots. So he's keeping familiarity. So
Mhm.
the music is the constant.
Absolutely. Again, theme, all of that just stays constant, and it's always adding to the story throughout the film. Everything that is happening on screen is adding to the story. Beautifully done. I did not get this for a longest amount of time, so let me just try to get my head around this whole sequence. So because it's so freaking beautiful. So even the guy that he captures just to get the information, right? Even that random dude is a badass because the way he captures the snake is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. Throws a snake at him, and then there's this beautiful shot where after he realizes that he's poisoned and he's going to die within an hour, he sits down for a second and he comes to terms with his own death. And he realizes that I failed in my mission, but he doesn't get angry because we're used to seeing him get angry. So we find out another layer of him when he lets the guy go. So we see another goodness in him. Even now, we think he's working for the British, he's an asshole, blah, blah, blah. But we see that, maybe he's not all bad, right? And the line that the guy says is quite interesting. He says, even the white people don't have a cure for this poison. What that means is their tribe does, but Western medication does not have a cure for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so that kind of sets it up for the fact that Bheem would know the cure because, they're from the same tribe.
Yeah.
People loved it.
But that's also, the other thing is just a subtle hint there is, that Ramcharan is going to figure out who he's looking for is Bheem, is when the snake bits him and then he, hits the other guy, he falls back and their, tribes, the string they wear around their body,
Spring or whatever they were wearing,
shows up,
yeah,
which is to protect them, and then he hits, and then afterwards when he finds him, I'm like, look, man, it's just the little details like that. It's like,
very good, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so another layer to this that comes in later on, which is that when Bheem is sitting by making the plan how to infiltrate the palace, and he walks away. we can see Ram in the background. I love that shot. That's just so beautiful because you kind of feel like, oh no, he's gonna die without, ever getting his attention. But the way Ram gets Bheem's attention, I did not notice this for the first couple of times, but it was the same beat that he plays during the Natu Natu song.
जाकर फाटकों की आवाज सुनकर ठीक से याद कर लो, समझे? क्या हुआ ना?
Do you recognize that?
No.
So it's the drum.
I missed that.
That same beat he uses on the drums. So Bheem is like, I know that sound. And that's why he goes back. Because if he just made a noise, he wouldn't recognize it, but that becomes their theme. And I'm going to come back to this later on, but that is the same beat that Bheem uses later on when he's trying to break Ramcharan out of the prison. He does that same rhythm on the ground. So he goes da-dum, da-dum, dum. And then Ramcharan recognizes that to be Bheem. And that's why they do it. So that is their theme almost, to recognize each other. Beautiful. Love it. And then the storytelling happens. I don't think Western audiences got this, to be honest, but the way Ram figures out that Bheem, that Akhtar might not be Akhtar, is because when he is trying his best to save him, he goes and prays at a temple. He's like going, why is the Muslim dude praying to the temple? And you can see it in his face. It's like going, what's happening right now? And then he just knows that, how does he know how to get that venom out of me? And then he's slowly putting all of that together while a completely different action is happening. And the last thing that makes Ramcharan recognize that, NTR is something else is when that holy thread thing comes in. And that's when the realization comes. But it slowly builds up to that stage. You know what I mean? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's what I'm saying, though. But this the thing is, I mean, this is me just speculating. I don't know how Rajamouli works. But this is a case where, I've done this several times when I'm writing reports. Is you're thinking of one thing in your head, but when you're actually writing it, you always miss out bits. And then when you reread it later on, or someone else reads it, they're like, "You're talking about this, but where's the rest of it?" And you're like, "No, I said it. It's this." And you're like, "Yeah, you're explaining it to me now, but where is it? You haven't read it." And this way, I'm speculating that did he spend months going back and forth, or is he that good where he keeps all the memory in his head and he knows what he's doing? It's like, because to be able to do that minute detail, you have to know every inch of that story and remember every inch. I mean, this is the problem, and this is where it comes back to continuity. No, even the greatest script writers in Hollywood, Bollywood, whichever movie industry, you see that there's always consistency errors, and they're like, whoa, how did you get to this? That didn't show that, and it just makes sense. Or if you talk about, I guess, going off topic here, if you talk about Batman v Superman, and you're like, yeah, that whole 30 minutes that they cut out made so much sense. But I'm like, that again, things leave on the cutting room floor when you're editing or they're doing that. But here, the fact that Rajamouli focuses on every single minute bit.
It's tight, man. It's tight storytelling. Yes. There's no extra fat. He tells exactly what's needed.
There is extra fat.
There is no fat. How dare you? What do you think is extra? Where?
Aliyah Bhatt. I'm sorry. We might get onto that, but
onto her. But she was exposition person. You know what I mean? She wasn't really part of the story as much. She was more to connect two dots than anything else. Anyway, so we have the poison sequence, and then we have him literally telling Ram the whole story. That's when we get to the great freaking party scene. Okay, so at this stage, on my first watch, right? So what? We're about an hour and a half into the film. I think it's a decent film. Yeah, I'm loving it. It's good. I don't feel like I'm gonna rewatch this. I think these are cool actors. Whatever. And then the party scene happens, dude. The freaking truck comes in, and NTR launches out of the truck with the
Mhm.
entire forest of animals, the entire
And that's
jungle.
when it makes sense on what he was doing.
Dude, that's when this movie blew me away. At that shot, that one single shot, I was like, yep, I'm in. I am in with whatever this movie is going to do now. Completely cool with it. That is one of the greatest shots I've seen in recent memory, dude. I can't remember the last time I was so impressed with a shot.
See, you're
beautiful.
impressed with the shot. I'm impressed on the thinking, the
story.
thought process behind that. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the idea. That's what you were doing.
Yeah.
This is the reason why you wanted all these animals.
Yeah, to me, that was all part of the shot because the shot was making sense to me as it was happening in slow motion. Because
Mhm.
again, he knows the audience is putting two and two together. Because I was like, oh, wait, how does he have all these animals? And I'm thinking, oh, wow, that's why we saw him capture the animal. That's why he said, I'm using you for my purpose. And that's why he had those big meat things
Yeah.
that he was giving to the animal. All of that is happening in my head. And best thing is Rajamouli gives us time to process all of the information by making that shot so beautiful, long, and in slow motion. Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
information that I'm taking in right now. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And my favorite thing is the animals aren't tamed; they're still wild animals. They're still attacking. That's why he has the two fire torches,
Yeah.
and he's like, shooing them away. Like, nope, not me. Get the white folks. And then he just kind of goes like, that way, please. And he's wrangling the animals. Beautiful, love it.
Bro, I was just, to me, it was just sheer amazement. You
Yeah.
know, from the moment where the truck comes in, you see them, and then it spins, and then as soon as it just flies out, and you see all the cages, it's like that deja vu moment. That it just hits you. It's like I just had an epiphany. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's what he thought, and that's when I'm like, you know, when you're watching it, and then you just stand up.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
salute
Yes.
Rajamouli. Salute you, sir, in
Yes.
storytelling.
Because, dude, I
Yeah.
didn't see that scene coming. Like, at no
Yeah.
point did I put two and two together. I didn't know what was in the truck. I had no idea what the plan was. I
Mhm.
wouldn't have guessed.
And
When
that's
that
the
time
beauty.
saga came out, I didn't guess.
Yeah, that's
It
the
was
beauty. They didn't bother doing most movies do with the exposition. Like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Now is the time, and we're gonna do this. No, go.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then the action tells you everything. And even then, what you were saying before about the way he filmed it. I'll give you that. And that's what I was saying. The fact that this director knows how to combine the tools.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, he's using all the tools in his belt.
Mm-hmm.
He's using all the tricks. He's using all the mediums and the methods. But at the same time, he's throwing convention and filmmaking out the window.
Completely.
So on that bit, there are things where we say you give the audience time to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But look what he's
Exactly.
doing. He's giving you time to breathe through shooting it slow motion.
Yep.
But it's an action scene.
Yep.
So he's not
It's
giving
really-
you time to breathe. So it's
Nope.
an action scene. Then he uses the convention of giving you time to breathe just so your head can say, see how he was collecting the animals, see it's coming
Yeah.
back, and now you can see his idea, which is he's gonna let nature do its
Yeah.
job and let these people get ravaged. Their ravages, let them get ravaged by beasts.
Yeah.
It's just beautifully done. And I'm just like,
Beautiful,
oh
man.
my.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I was sold. I mean, I was lukewarm about this movie up until this scene, right? I was still thinking, yeah, this is a decent film. I can see why people like this. This is a very, very decent film. And then this scene happened and I was sold 100%. I'm like, yep, you got me, dude. You got me. Whatever you do from here is great. And the best thing is, I moved my cursor while I was watching this on Netflix and we were halfway through the movie at this stage. I'm thinking, how? How is this an hour into the hour and a half into the movie? What could you possibly do after this? And I was like sold completely, dude. Anyway, so we have that fight sequence. Obviously, the Ram comes in, and for some reason his chariot is on fire. I didn't quite understand why that is. Like, sure, why not? It's a cool ass entrance. I'm not gonna make too many questions about it. But this is where the Avatar: The Last Airbender thing comes in for me, man. Come on, this was fire and water bending, right?
Yeah.
This was just the visuals. Like M. Night Shyamalan couldn't have done this in his wildest dream. Like this was beautifully done. It was so over the top. The fountain breaking apart. As soon as the fountain started breaking, I was like, okay, that's what the water is going to come from. I get it. the fireworks went off. I was like, oh, okay, that's where the fire is going to come from. I saw all of that coming. It was like very obviously done. It wasn't like he was trying to hide any of it. Like I said, at times this movie isn't subtle because it doesn't want to be subtle. But when it needs to be subtle, it can be subtle. It can work on both those levels. But when that fight sequence happens, it was beautiful because, again, there's a symbolism of, the Raju character who was in the first scene, we saw how focused he is on his target. His vision never, falters. He doesn't look away from who the target is. In this scene, he couldn't even look Bheem in the eye. I mean, he kept kind of trying to grab his wrist, but always looking down. He couldn't do it because he was embarrassed. Beautiful. You kind of find out so much about the character in that sense.
Yeah, this is where it's sort of changed for me. It's like, as much as I hate it, I'm trying all the way through.
Mm.
I'm like, I get the difficulty.
Exactly.
You've got humanity to you, but you're also got a mission to do. But at the same time, how do you fight with your belief in your mission at the same time for a person that's gone to grow to know and appreciate?
I think a lot of actor would have shown that flashback already, just so we can feel conflicted. But what Rajamouli does is he shows us snippets. Like we see that hand coming in, we see that the hand is missing fingers, we see a kid's hand holding that hand. So we know there is a bigger story that we don't know yet, but we don't know enough to make that choice. So we know there is something more to this. That's why we are like a bit more willing to be sympathetic towards the Ram Charan character. Yeah, beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
The action happens, and then finally the interval scene happens. And at this stage, movie could have ended here, dude, and I would have been more than happy. Like this could have been a climax of the movie, and I would have been, this was a great film. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. But we have half a movie left at this stage. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe what was happening, dude. So okay, I will let you take over from here. So that's when Ajay Devgan enters the story. So after interval, everyone comes into the cinema, and I love how Rajamouli changes the pace now. So we had so much action. Now we almost start a completely new movie with a flashback. So what do you think about this? So now you're getting the Ram Charan backstory.
Well, on that bit, I have to say, first and foremost, out of the two, I guess, cameos, special appearances, however you want to call it, supporting Scar, Ajay Devgan done a damn good job, and I actually didn't mind him being in there. I'm like, I appreciate what you're doing. Nadia, but I'm sorry. I don't care what it was.
I mean, to be fair, Ajay had more to do. Ajay Devgan had a lot more to do. Like, he was like a crux of the story. I'm not even a big Ajay Devgan fan, dude. I think he's a bit too, I don't know. I don't know. He just doesn't always work for me. Let's put it that way. I love Singham. I like him in Singham, but he doesn't always work for me. But in this one, he was the emotional crux of the story. And he really committed to telling the story, and not in a melodramatic way, but in a very serious way. So I did like him in this film, in this scene especially. There's definitely a cameo.
It is, but the thing is, this is just the way you did it. Straight away, it comes back and it makes the whole, play on the bullet scene, which I'm like, hats off to you with bringing that theme back. Because this is the thing about this movie, it's the themes. There's so many themes, but the thing is, it's not introduced and forgotten about like most movies do. They introduce a topic, or they introduce a rule, and then they forget the rule. Here they bring back the theme and everything else, and I'm like, what? Everyone's just practicing with wooden guns, and then he tells him that what he learned in being in the British Army and what they said, and it was that bullet part. I'm like, that story.
Yeah. And the best thing, you already mentioned this as well, but you know how Ram Charan has a disregard for life in the same way that we saw Scott in the first scene having a disregard for life. We understand why he has a disregard for Indian life is because the training he got from his father was also based on the training that the father got from the British. So that whole disregard for life attitude towards war and the value of a bullet and all that stuff was passed on through generation. So there is a term that we're using a lot nowadays in the modern world called generational trauma, right? So whatever our fathers, our grandfathers rather, whatever our grandfathers taught our fathers taught to us, etc., etc. So all the hatred that or disregard or not really showing value for life for Indians got passed on to Ajay Devgan's character because he got the training from the British, and then it got passed down to um, Ram, but we didn't understand why until we saw the flashback. And the flashback, Jesus, this was so dark. First of all, they killed the little kid, so I was like, okay, and then they killed the mother, and then the cold way that he just kind of says, "Yeah, forget about it. Load, aim, shoot." It just shows that look that we have a greater mission. We need to focus on that right now. We cannot be emotional. No life is more important than the life of the entire country. So we need to focus on this right now. And we understand why he is so militant towards his mission at this stage. Loved it.
Yeah, you can't go. But also, I like the way they introduce the fact that he saw the brutality going on and he was part of the brutality.
Yeah.
But enough is enough, and he saw the errors of his ways, and then he changed that. But just because you see the errors on the way, just because you learn at the hands of ruthless people, you don't just shy away from that and turn away. You keep their training, you keep what they taught you.
But that's the thing. He was trying to fight the enemy with the methods of the enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what later on happens is we figure out. So there's an idea that if someone hurts us and we hurt them back, that's not the way to win the fight. The whole non-violence thing that started in India, the whole idea is that if someone is beating you up, you don't beat them back. You just stand in your ground. Because if we beat them back, we are no better than the enemy. We cannot defeat someone by being as evil as them. That's not the way to do it. We got to do it the opposite way. So unfortunately, the training that Ajay Devgan's character got, he was trying to defeat the enemy with the same methods. But later on, during the Ram and Bheem, we're going to talk about that. Ram Charan finds out there is another way, and he just didn't know because he wasn't taught that, right? So we kind of see that why he is the way he is. On a side note, though, the load, aim, shoot scene.
Yeah.
What I really like about it is that he didn't say fire. Load, aim, fire would have been a lesser director trying to force the word fire into that part. Do you know what I mean? Because Ram Charan is all about fire. We can use load, aim, fire, but he intentionally uses shoot. I haven't cleared my mind about this idea, but I feel like Rajamouli is trying to say fire is seen as a good thing in this film, and he doesn't want to dilute that word or that theme or just that imagery.
With a negative connotation.
Exactly. You see what I mean? So when he's writing the script, he's taking all of that into account. Like, I don't want to confuse the imagery. I don't want to say load, aim, fire, because that's more common, right? People say fire, but he uses load, aim, shoot, and I really like that choice. It's a very tiny change, but I really appreciate that change, man.
Yeah, because otherwise you're losing the whole theme and construct of the movie by just changing that. Because then how can you expect fire to be good?
Yeah, loved it. Okay, so
done.
Also, they didn't finish the entire story here, by the way. We're going to get to the Alia Bhatt bit. But they finished that story when Alia Bhatt is telling the full story to Bheem. But they cut off at the right point. And then we get to the Ram and Bheem scene. So what do you think about that? So just as a bit of a heads up, this is my favorite scene, dude.
What,
the whipping scene.
Hanging part.
Yeah, the whipping scene. Dude.
Wow, bro.
Dude. Just dude. Yeah. The audacity in the torture scene. The audacity to put that song in that scene. Any other director would have messed that up in such a big way. But I had goosebumps, man. Goosebumps. Actually, the first time I saw this scene, not so much. I was like thinking about how ridiculous the scene is, to be honest. Someone's getting whipped in a very violent way and he's singing. So I didn't really feel any emotion. The second time, once I was over the surface level version of the scene, the way he shoots the crowd is what got me to get goosebumps, man. I was teary-eyed the second time I saw this. Like obviously the crowd itself is feeling so sad for him, like they're in pain for his pain. But slowly, as he starts singing, he manages to rise the crowd up, and the way he cuts between each of the expressions, then we kind of slowly see the rise in their expression, and that sadness and that pity, or that the feeling of pain changes to feeling of anger and revolt, and then they slowly rise. I put all the 3 R's in there, and then they take over that thing. It was beautifully done, like a perfect scene.
See, it's not even that though. See, this is where I guess my years of watching Indian movies is the thing that really gets me is the symbolism, because I've watched Indian films, since I was young. So one of the things they always say is, how they say, "Meri desh ki mitti, meri maa ki mitti." It's everything to do with the earth, the ground. So much praise. See, before any of that changes, before any of that even takes place, he looks directly at the ground.
Yeah.
And the camera goes in and zooms. He's like, when I first saw him, I'm like, what the hell is he looking at? Because it's just nothing there, me.
Yeah.
But when you see it, he's looking at the ground. It's nature. It looks like the ground. Then the wind is feeling, and then the part where as cringe as that was, bro.
It was like a mother touching your face in a very loving way. It was just like, it was just beautiful.
Mother Nature, bro.
Yeah. This caressing of the cheek is such a gentle, loving.
In Indian movies, we always realize, even though you got dirt in other countries, you got leaves in other countries. No, this is, as they say, desh ki mitti, all that stuff. So like, you're looking at the leaf. This is Indian leaf. This is Mother Nature's leaf.
Yeah, and the lyrics, man. The lyrics. Yes. You are the son of the forest. You're the son of the jungle. Like, how can you, if you fall down on your knees, you are no longer the son of the jungle. It's just, I know it sounds so cheesy when you translate this, but as a form of poetry, it's perfect. It's just, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. There's no anger in him. There is no anger in him. He's basically showing the defiance by doing nothing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
He's focusing on what matters, which is his love for his mother, in terms of his country, his nature, and everything.
Yeah.
Why should he be angry? He's fine at just cause.
Yeah. And one of my other side note about this film that I love is the scene, rather, is that Ram Charan's hair is freaking perfect throughout the entire movie, up until now. Like, he's coming undone. Like, his facade that he's maintained for so long about being this, gentleman officer kind of thing, and he doesn't even believe in what he's doing anymore, and his hair is just all over the place.
Yeah, but you see the other. Okay, so you focusing on the hair. What I'm focusing on is the costume. So
the red, the blood.
Yeah, and it's not just that; it's the uniform.
Yeah.
What you get in life.
Yeah.
The goal you're going towards, once you achieve it, might still not give you happiness.
Yeah.
And the thing, he has that. By capturing him, he's gotten what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's got what he's wanted, it's not always cracked up to be.
Yeah, it's like this line from Infinity War, where Thanos goes back and sees Gamora. Gamora asks, "What was that? Did you get what you wanted?" And he goes, "Yes." What did it cost? Everything. And so it's like a symbolism of that happening as well. I love it. And basically, from Ram Charan's character's point of view, he basically thought of him as a scapegoat. He's like, whatever, he's a sacrificial lamb. He's just one of the many people I have to trample over in order to get to my mission. But because of their friendship, because of the respect he had for him, Bheem was able to show Raju's character that there is another way. We don't have to give every person a weapon. Every person is a weapon. So when the crowd does revolt, they don't take the guns from them. They basically break down everything, scratch, they trample on their necks, bite them. Like, every person has that fire, that shola, rather, inside of them. You know what I mean? So it kind of showed that you can rise the crowd by simple song. Not even a song about violence, not even a song about let's destroy people. It's a song about just remind them who they are. That's all that matters. Remind them what they're fighting for. You're not fighting for yourself. You're fighting for everything, everything that's around you. Beautiful. Love that scene.
Yeah.
Love that scene.
It was wonderful, man, the way it's put through.
Yeah, and
And the
NTR's
thing is-
acting. Oh,
Yes.
so good.
And the thing is, you don't need to see. This is the thing, and I love that it's on here. You know, people spew hatred.
Yeah.
He is not spewing hatred.
No.
He's just spewed in love.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that he's not doing it because then again, it's like what you were saying is, if you fight fire with fire, if you're doing the same as them, you're not better than them. So he's not even focusing on that.
No.
He's just singing about love, the relationship with a mother, the earth, their
Yeah.
country, homeland. So he's talking about all that, and that's what riles them up.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to the theme of him being water as well. So the thing you were saying when he looked at the ground, he was reminded what he's fighting for. There's also a shot of him looking at the water as he sees his own reflection, and he's reminded through the water who he is. And he himself works as that reflection for the crowd because he reminds the crowd who they are and what they can do. So
Yeah,
just
even
to
the
go
other bit where you see where his blood is
yeah,
flowing.
yeah,
It's flowing like a river. Oh my god.
dude. And the worst thing is, in the Hindi one, they don't have this. But if you look at the Telugu lyrics, there is a lyric in there. Basically, in the Hindi version, they say the red is like um, it's like the chandan on the mum's head or something like that. So basically, talks about how the red looks on the mum's head. But I think you would know this. In Bengali culture, there is also a red design that they put on their feet. It's called an altar. And in the lyric, he basically said, the blood is like that red thing on our mother's feet. So he sees the blood as something that, blood can be quite negative because it's flowing out of you. But he says, this blood I'm going to use to decorate my mother's feet. And that line is kind of missing from the Hindi lyrics as well, because it's missing from Hindi, it's missing from the subtitle. But that again shows that he's able to just change the meaning of it by giving it something positive.
See, since you saw that, is that the part right before the woman doesn't want the red, the bloodstream?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one when the river thing is happening and it reaches the woman's feet. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. It's just amazing. I can go on about how many layers this scene has, man, but it's just the Rajamouli paid so much attention to every part of this. I mean, we didn't even talk about the reflection of him facing down Ram Charan, and that's the same as the tiger in this part because we already spoken about it. Facing his mortal enemy, but not fighting back. He's just doing this. Like Ram Charan is seeing himself reflected, like his actions. He's seeing his actions reflected in Bheem, and he's made to question what he's doing. Beautiful.
Yeah, can't go wrong, man.
Not go wrong. Yes, it's my favorite scene, man. I must have seen that song countless times. But anyway, after all of that happens, we get a shot of that, the same place where there is no more crowd anymore, and we see Ram Charan walking in. But this time, we see Ram Charan reflected on a puddle of water, just to show that he's kind of seeing Bheem's perspective. So I love that shot as well. Rajamouli again, subtly telling the change in the character that's happening. I mean, this is probably the part of the movie that I was a bit whatever about, is when the rescue of Bheem happens. What do you think about the scene? I don't really have much to say about this part.
I like the scene in terms of how action played out and everything else, and I was quite happy with it. But yeah,
too many coincidences, man. I think that's where it kind of took it away from me. It was just the whole. Yeah. So first of all, Roger can survive anything. Apparently, freaking hell! Like, I swear he got his lungs and spine punctured a couple of times in the scene. Like when that tree branch digs into him, I was like, oh, he's dead. He's clearly dead. There's no way he's going to survive this. He got stabbed in the back with the biggest branch I've ever seen in my life. But he's fine. It's like, yeah, I don't know. That scene was okay for me. I wasn't taken overboard. Let me put it this way. That's the scene I have never rewatched again. Like just the scene by itself. All the other scenes in the film I've rewatched once or twice, but that's the scene I was like, yeah, whatever, kind of thing. Again, the Scott guy jumping up and grabbing the gun. Too much.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
I think they just wanted to show that he's not just a random bad guy. He also has skills, so he's like a formidable foe. But the way they showed that, it was a bit awkward for me.
Yeah, and it was a bit late. Yeah, I didn't really do much on me, but I did quite like creative sense of what you thought about it, and then how he decided that we should do it in the open, and then at the same time we should bring Marley there.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, because remember it's like, yeah, you may not like the scene as much, but still you can see the workings.
Of course.
He's always thinking, he's always bringing it forward, and because otherwise we would have thought, so how else are you going to introduce what? He's just going to go, escape and then go back, and come on, it's the entire British Empire you're trying to fight. You don't think they're going to be ready for you? So rather than doing that, like, no, bring her in there, and it also shows, I guess that Ramcharan can also think ahead and try and come up with some unique ideas and try and see how things could plan out. So he's really doing that. So they both are good thinkers and all that stuff. So it makes sense on the way they did that part and the way he gets away with it. And also he redeems himself in that scene though. Now I guess that's the main thing about that scene is he redeems himself by helping him, and then obviously Bheem gets to see that this guy is a guy. He is on our side.
No, that's the thing. He doesn't. That was the sad part about that scene. Bheem still thinks that he was about to shoot Molly in the freaking head.
Oh no, I get that part. But I'm saying, just for the moment where he saved him, like, because even when he goes to, because I guess after this is where he goes to, stay with the villagers, and then they escape, and then they meet Aaliyah, and that's when he's more, understanding because everything's spelled out.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the scene for the audience, I think, because this is the first time we see Ramcharan's character sacrifice for someone else. Because all through the film, always done things for himself, for selfish needs, for his mission or whatever. The first time we see him doing something for someone else, for sacrificing his mission for the first time, because he understands that his mission has changed slightly, and he sees that this might be Bheem's way, might be a better way of approaching this revolutionary fight than his way of just arming people. So yeah, that was quite interesting, and he takes all of the the British soldiers down in a very badass way. So that was a good part. I mean, the whole shooting that guy through Mali and Bheem, that was heartbreaking, man. Like Bheem was like, yeah, this son of a bitch is trying to shoot this kid in the head. What?
Yeah. But I guess the problem is also this comes back to the previous bit when he actually comes up with the idea. You see the look on Bheem's face when he hears Marley's name, like, you son of a.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why are you bringing a little girl? I guess that's when I guess the thing is, whenever you try and bring a child into anything, you're an arsehole.
Yeah. And I love that line by the Scott character. He goes, "You've started to think like the Empire, my boy," and just kind of make the British look like the worst villain in the world. It's like, yes, that's what I would have done. Yes, let's include the child. That's the best way to do this. We approve of this message. It's very, very dark and evil in a very sadistic way. Okay, so after that, your favorite character comes in to the story. We have the entrance of Alia Bhatt.
Okay, let's just stop right there talking about the review, and let's just say, was it not pointless? Okay, I don't know how you feel about this, and I'm going to go into a rant.
Go on.
This movie is not a Bollywood movie.
No,
it's a South Indian movie.
Yeah.
Okay, you added in Ajay Devgan. Fair enough, you added in a movie. What was the point of Alia? And I hate to say that, I don't have no dislike for Alia Bhatt. In some movies, she's okay. I really liked her in Highway. I thought she was wonderful in Highway.
Dear Zindagi, I liked her in Dear Zindagi. I actually liked Dear Zindagi. I know a lot of people think it's a crap film. I think it was fine.
I didn't watch that, so I couldn't really comment on that one. But what was the point?
Okay, if you want to get to that, what was the point of any woman in this movie, dude?
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Alia Bhatt. Forget the woman. What's the point of it?
No, she was exposition. She was there to break the story between Ram and that. That was the point.
Could have been by any female actor.
Oh, you mean casting Alia Bhatt?
Yeah.
Oh no, casting was more like I mean, because I heard the story. I think Alia Bhatt bumped into Rajamouli in an airport one day, and she ran up to him and was like going, "I'm a big fan, sir. Can I just be in your movie? I don't care what the role is, whatever role, please. I need to be in your movie." And Rajamouli's like, "Okay, dude, whatever," and cast her in the movie. That was it. That's pretty much the whole reason she was in the movie. She's just a fan of Rajamouli and wanted to do it. The weird thing is, I think Rajamouli auditioned Alia Bhatt for this role as well because she's never really played a demure village girl. You know what I mean? Because she's a city girl. She grew up in a Bollywood actor legacy family. Maybe Rajamouli just
Yeah,
couldn't see her
Bollywood.
as.
She's rich.
Yeah, of course, she's very rich, and she's never actually done a village girl kind of character before. So Rajamouli wasn't quite convinced that she could pull it off, but fair dues to her, she did pull it off. And if you look at her in interviews, she's nothing like that character. So she did a good enough job. But I think whoever they cast in this movie, it would have been an exposition person. So you might as well cast someone who's going to get audience to watch this movie in north of India. You know what I mean? I think that was just Rajamouli's thinking behind it. It's like, let's just put some cameos in there. One could be Ajay Devgan, other one could be Alia, but we can put her on the poster, get a bunch of people from Bombay to watch this film.
You say that, but I still think it comes down to acting, bro. I guess I'm looking at it from a point of view that, look, as long as you got someone who can have the conviction and the way they're saying stuff. Small part people have stolen movies, where people come like, this guy or this woman was in a scene and she stole the damn movie.
I guess so, but there was no opportunity, right? That movie was in that character was just telling the audience what the audience already knows.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I mean?
they know that. But even then, the expression, I just didn't buy her expressions, man. Like,
Oh, okay. You're talking about her acting chops. Yeah, I didn't. I always saw her as Alia Bhatt. I never really bought her
that's
in
what I'm
as
saying.
a character. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Cast her B, she couldn't even pull it off, man.
Yeah, it's true. I think the mother of in the flashback when we see Raju's mother, I think she did a way better job of expressing a lot in a very short amount of time. So yeah. I mean, it didn't take me out of the film. Let's put it that way.
Well,
It was
this
just
way, all I saw in this was it was Ali about just being more restrained.
yeah, exactly. She had to
But
be because
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. She's just downplaying herself.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, that was the role though.
Yeah, no. The role was a village girl who's longing to see her lover.
Yeah.
I never got that, and the thing is, you can get that from a lot of movies. I guess my thing is this: I don't know, anyone who's listening to this, put that in the comment section. When I saw this movie, and when I'm seeing this actor, this particular character in there, I think it should have been what's her name, Aishwarya Rajesh. She should have been. I can picture her pulling that character off. I guess the movie I'm going back to is one that she did with Vijay Sethupathi, Kapai Rangasingam. She did that with Vijay Sethupathi, which was really good. She did another one where she was a cricket player. I can't remember what it was now.
So she's an established actor then, right?
Yeah. She's made quite a few
But
movies.
that's the thing. She might not have done a cameo because if you're getting a big actor, and they would be like, "Why the hell would I waste my time in a tiny?"
Oh no, she would have. She would have. I mean, she's done smaller roles in movies. But it's just I think her action chops would have been so much better. I mean, I could just see her as a village girl. She could have. She pulls off those sort of scenes anyway. And I didn't buy Aliyah. Like I said, I just saw Aliyah try and downplay herself. It's just the sensibilities and just little
the
quirks.
mannerism. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have none of that, man. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
even when she was talking to stores, doing the whole explanation, I'm like, I'm not even seeing the sadness there.
Yeah. I mean, she does force herself to cry at the last minute when she tells that he's going to be hanged, and that crying made no sense. But yeah, at that stage, I didn't really care, man. I was like, yeah, I'm fully into this movie, so I was like, yeah, whatever. Alia, just say your thing and leave the scene, just so these two bros can get together again.
Yeah,
I want the bromance more than the romance.
That's my sentiment. It's like, go.
Yeah, pretty much. She was barely in the film for like 15 minutes, man. If you like take all the scenes together, so it didn't really bother me.
Even that 15 minutes, you know, when you're just like, I can't watch this movie for this particular scene.
Yeah,
I just need
yeah.
to
Bro.
know.
Just
It's like the
fast
same
forward it.
reason why I can't watch Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham anymore.
Oh, yeah, no, I haven't seen that movie.
Can't put up with Katrina, man. I'm sorry.
Jesus, no, that movie's too melodramatic for me. I mean, maybe it was fine back in the day, but doesn't work anymore. But
Yeah,
I think we might have missed one other scene, which was when we go back to see Raju in the prison cell.
Hmm.
So, you know, when after lots of time has passed, and they're like, "Oh, we've only been feeding him for a week. He would be a shell of a man." That was the second time I got a bit of a Last Airbender feel to it. So do you know what scene I'm talking about?
when he's in the when he's
Uncle
doing
Eo?
the
Yeah. So in
Mhm.
Last Airbender, Uncle Io or Eo, I've forgotten how they pronounce the name, and there was a scene where he's in prison by the Fire Nation, and you know they see him as this, oh, you used to be this great warrior, you're nothing now, and they're basically feeding him like scraps, and then he takes off his shirt, and we realize he's been working out all this time, and we see him do a one-hand pull-up while he's in the
Yeah.
prison. That scene was such a badass scene in The Last Airbender, and they do that exact same thing here. And they also do that, you know, they had to bring a bit of Gita in there. There's a famous Gita line, which is, you have the right to your action, but never to the fruits of your action. And I love that inclusion of that. That just shows that he's going to keep working towards his mission until he
Mhm.
has no breath left in him. So that's why
Yeah.
his makes so much sense in the context of that. It's like, yeah, you think I'm down and out, but it's not over until it's over kind of attitude. I love that part. And then that was the only other allusion to the Last Airbender I can remember. And after that, the Alia Bhatt scene happens, and then we do the prison break. And I don't really have much to say about this movie towards the end because it was just two great action sequences. I mean, there's nothing more to say. It was just two badass action sequences that I loved.
Yeah. Nah, you can't go wrong with the action sequences. The only, you know, I said I had two criticisms about this movie. One was
Yeah.
Ali, but and I'm pretty sure even you know, whoever's listening won't be happy with me saying that about Ali, but
I don't think that's too controversial. It's fine. He can say that.
the other thing was, come on, man, I get you wanting to put some gravity onto the injuries,
Yeah.
but Ali, this is where I just think, you know, as I was saying, you know, Rajamouli was thinking about the story and making sure it all worked and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But here it's like, come back to the disbelief.
The legs thing. The legs were broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, unless you were thinking purely from a set piece, where like
Yeah.
it'd be great if you, uh, you know, did this scene. Well, how are we going to introduce this? Well, we need to make sure he damages his legs. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's the explanation for that. But then you're like, but then
2 minutes later, he's
yeah,
fine. No, to be fair, Bheem does put some random leaves and stuff on his knees, and you know Raju rests for like half an hour or something, and apparently the leaves are magic leaves, and it fixes his knees back to normal. I mean, look, dude, in like Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises, Bane breaks Batman's spine at one point, and he fixes that spine with a couple of push-ups in the prison. So you know, whatever. You know, by this stage, I've seen these two do so many ridiculous things. I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess his legs are fine now. I didn't even care at this stage. I was like, yeah, whatever, makes sense.
now, but the other bits I bought though because I'm like, okay, I'm seeing how it works, how you're playing it. This way, I was like, no, okay,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at that stage, I just assumed that he was almost possessed by a higher power to complete the mission. Do you know what I mean? So it was almost like the gods were helping him. So you know the Greeks have this saying called a deus ex machina, like the god
Hmm.
comes in at the end and kind of fixes everything. So they were trying to show that level
Well, they
of
did show that, as they
trinity.
said, and I would like to say. So you
Yeah,
keep bringing back the last Airbender, Avatar, bro. Avatar,
yeah,
you see the Avatar on when he makes an entrance, and then you don't get to see his face. You just see like a silhouette outline, and you
exactly.
see the
He's a
light.
symbol at this
Yeah,
stage, not even him anymore.
Yeah.
But later on, I
No,
found out that's apparently how Alluri Sitaram Rao, the character that he's based on, used to dress during, when he used to do his freedom fighting, like guerrilla warfare thing. He used to dress like that. So it worked in both ways. So he was staying true to the character that this was based on, but also drawing from the mythology of Ram. Because they literally take that bow and arrow from a statue of Ram, and they take that saffron flag from the temple and makes that into his garment. So they're working on both the levels simultaneously. So at this
yeah.
stage, yeah, it's completely over the top action at this stage. So if you're still asking, questioning the logic as an audience, you're not questioning it anymore. It's just whatever at this stage. But yeah, and then explosive action happens, and then we hear that line for one last time about the bullet. How much a bullet is worth, and this time Bheem is the one who does the shooting, which I like. It wasn't Raju who killed him; it was Bheem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know how true this is. I've tried to pay attention to this movie, but it's not very clear. But I think Bheem only kills two people. I know he beats up a lot of people, but he only kills two people that we definitely know on screen. Both of them are the white characters. You know what I mean? Both of the ones who actually hurt his tribe. He doesn't indiscriminately go around killing people like Raju does. Like he only kills the people that he's actually there to kill. And then so it was quite a nice emotional way of tying everything together of Bheem killing Scott and not Raju killing Scott. That was quite nice as well. And then obviously the cheesy ass scene after the sun never sets on the British Empire and the blood splatters on the word never. So the sun sets on the British Empire. And then the flag thing happens. So I fucking loved it. Loved it. So
Yeah.
over the so not subtle, but I loved it.
Hey, man, they need to make the point.
Yeah. Yeah. In case anyone didn't get it. That was like the last bit. We're making a point here, guys. Point has been made. But yeah, that's the whole movie, man. We actually made the podcast as long as the movie. So, I'm not even surprised. I still have a lot more to say about this movie. There is
I
just
do, man. I mean, I got the whole,
yeah. Dude, I'll have to do a commentary for this movie if you want. We can like pause every second of it and kind of go,
Let's see the reaction we get with this, and then we can add more. Because here's the thing: I could do a whole analysis and comparisons with how much I didn't like earlier about being in this, to the point where when you said she forced herself to cry.
Yeah.
If you look at Marley's acting there,
oh my god, yeah, that kid is amazing. That kid is amazing.
That kid shows more natural emotions than Aaliyah did.
Yeah. In much shorter time period as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. And that little kid reminded me of Nandita Das. You know the actress? Nandita Das? She's like a little version of Nandita Das. So, it's kind of worked in that level as well, even though she reminded me of a better actor that I know, like adult version of an actor. This kid was like at that power of acting that I was like, yes, this kid is good. And you needed that kid to be good because she carries so much of the emotional weight of that film. Like, yeah, so if there is a good reception to the way we have analyzed this movie, I know if anyone's lost it this long in the podcast, well done, give yourself a cookie. But we can do a breakdown of literally every aspect of this movie, every scene, because there's so much stuff we haven't even touched on.
There is. I think the thing is, before we finish off, we just have to say, because we kept talking about themes.
Yeah.
One of the thing I really loved about this is, even though they're doing the climax scene, they still kept to the theme in terms of the water and fire, where he's fighting with fire and the whole forest is now on fire, and then Bheem is protected by the water because he's in the pond, and then he comes up. And I can't say anymore. Similes, the symbolism, themes, the poetry, the storytelling.
Yeah.
But
the main thing I want to get across is this movie is deeper than people would give it credit for on the first viewing. On the first viewing, it looks like action extravaganza with musical, over-the-top acting, over-the-top action, all of that stuff. Yes, sure, that's on the surface. Really engage with this movie at the way it's trying to tell a story. You're going to find so much depth and so much, how can I put this, care that has gone into making the story be as, I won't say realistic, obviously, because this movie isn't realistic, but its emotional realism is always there. And that I'm actually trying to do a video essay on this as well, but there is no Blu-ray or DVD available, so there's no way for me to get a good quality version of this movie. But when they do release a Blu-ray of this, I'm going to coin a term that I think Indian filmmaking needs to use more. So there is a term called magical realism. Have you heard about it? And yeah. So I think Indian film has a thing called spiritual realism, which is that it's not real, but it captures the spirit of the character, spirit of the man. Do you know what I mean? So it's the fire and the water is not really l- realistic in a literal sense, but it is spiritually true for that character to be that way. So the spiritual realism in this film is at a level that no other movie has ever come close to. The only one I can think of is Jet Li's The Hero. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Hero is the only other film that I can think of. You know, where every time they tell the story, the whole cinematography and the lighting changes. The one goes from red to the blue to the white. You know, that's the
Yeah.
spiritual realism of that world. In the world when he's telling the story, every time he's telling a lie, it
Well,
becomes
see,
completely
that's
red.
what I'm saying in terms of, as we were talking about, you know, combining two fictional characters that I never met and beginning.
Mhm,
But yeah, you won't believe that in real world, and fair enough, it didn't happen. So it's fictional.
mhm.
But in the realm of this story, in this world, Rajamouli created a world that these two characters live in, and they are there together. And regardless
Yeah,
of whether some bits are, realistic, some parts are, exaggerated, uh, but within this world, it all comes together and is real.
absolutely. Yeah,
And that's what it needs to do. And I think that's what most movies forget. It's like, they want to be grounded in real world. And then
like I said,
they,
no movie is real. You know what I mean? How can you make a even a documentary is edited? You know what I mean? We're always trying to tell a story from our perspective. So we can't hold a film to those kind of restraint. Like, why should we? Art should not be restrained. You should tell a story whatever way is true to the story, and
yeah,
that's what Rocket League has done in this. It's brilliant, man. We cannot say hi. I'm so glad you like this movie as much as I do, and even your criticisms weren't too bad. I would love to have a chat with someone who really hates this movie and would like to know why they might hate it. But yeah, I've not really met anyone like that. I know lots of people who have dismissed this movie as something lesser than, but I just don't think that's an appropriate way to approach an art like this. It should be
well,
met with
depends
respect.
on how people watch it. I mean, most people just watch it as escapism, going to thing, time pass. But
Yeah,
if you really like the storytelling, if you really like how characters play a part, I mean, I don't know why people don't like storytelling. There isn't a single person on this earth that never grew up with stories. I
of
mean,
course.
whether you read books or you didn't read books, I'm pretty sure everyone's mum told them a story.
Yeah, I think we've just become cynical, man. As a race, as a human race, as society, we have just become very cynical. We just not willing to live in our imagination anymore because I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. Because, everything that we have around us, everything started off as someone else's imagination. Do you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
imagination should not be restrained. So we should completely free ourselves from strange barriers we're putting within ourselves on how stories should be told, how movies should be made, how music should be done, how people should live their life, all of that stuff.
See, you
To
bring that
stop.
up. As I said before, there should be a segment that we do based on how a remake should be done. But
Definitely.
then I think there's also episode that should be dedicated to how good storytelling should be done. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way because
Absolutely. This is our perspective. You know what I mean?
yeah,
What we like. Yeah.
exactly. And I think I've always had this feeling where some movies that I've seen could have made a whole lot of sense if they were just told in a different way.
Absolutely. But again, because you have definitely seen more South Indian films, Indian films in general, more than I have, I think, recently. You can
Mhm.
introduce me to a couple of them, and it'll be a new experience for me to see something for the first time. And then, because you would have probably seen it a couple of times, you would have a different experience of it. So it'll be good to compare what it was like for me to watch it for the first time, and for you to revisit and why you like something, and then compare it. Yeah, because again, they're doing some amazing work all across India in very, very different ways. Like, I know a lot of people who probably haven't seen a Indian film since Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, DDLJ, all of that stuff, and then so much has changed since then. And I know Lunchbox, for example, that was a
Oh,
big hit. Masan was a big hit, and I think Berlin and in Cannes. So people are getting some really different experiences of what Indian film is capable of, and India is too big. Like, if you literally go 10, 20 miles on any direction in India from any city, you will reach a place that speaks a different language, has a different culture, has different food, has different tradition, and it's impossible to capture India in one industry or one way of storytelling. We tell stories very, very differently, and the best thing is to meet that piece of art at their own terms, and not try to impose our own Western ideas about how it should be made, how stories should be told.
exactly. But I think this is the great time to say, anyone who's listening to this, if you liked what you heard, then look, we are movie lovers and we like to talk about more stuff. So anything that you think that didn't get enough attention, and you would point out why it didn't get enough attention and what your perspective is, and you would like us to discuss it and put our opinion on it, feel free to put it around in the comment section, and we would definitely like to watch it. Even if we don't even, talk much about it, because it might not be much. I would love to know other people's recommendations, because there are so many other movies that even I haven't seen, and I would love to be amazed by, introduced to new content.
Absolutely. And on that note, let's say goodbye until the next episode.
Yep.
Peace.
Thanks. Bye.
पिक्चर अभी भी बाकी है भाई
This will be a long ass episode. This will be, I've already recorded an hour of it, and we haven't even gone past the opening sequence, dude.
Bro, we can't make this into a Lord of the Rings marathon, bro.
I mean, we are just respecting Rajamouli, man. He didn't start the movie until 40 minutes in. We won't even start the podcast until 2 hours in. That's our style. Oh
god. Bro, people have attention spans, bro.
Huh?
People have an attention span. I'm not sure if we can take the risk.
That's fine. I don't care. I have so much love for this movie. I need the world to know about this. This is like, I mean, we should respect when someone does something right. I think we are so quick to criticize. Every time someone does something bad, let's talk about things when someone does something beautiful, man. I mean, this is capturing lightning in a bottle kind of thing. So I'm completely okay talking about this. The real fans of RRR will spend 2-3 hours with it. It's okay. For those guys, we were going to put this little conversation not in the podcast, but right at the end. That's a bit of an Easter egg for you to see if you reached it. If you did, leave a comment and a like and subscribe. Give to our Patreon, etc., etc. Anyway, okay. So we have gone past the opening sequence.